Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 4.0 and Below, where we love our creases to absolute pieces. I'm your host, WB Kelso, and today's episode we're going to take a look at one of the goofiest comics of all time, but I love it because it's got good girl art and a monkey in a suit and a tie. And now, how can you go wrong with that? Maggity, aggity, aggity. Whoa, what the heck happened there? Anyway, we're back. And of course, the book I'm talking about is Angel and the Ape, starring Angel Beatrix O'Day and Sam Simeon, who run the O'Day and Simeon Detective Agency. Now, Sam, of course, is a gorilla who thinks in English, but he speaks gorilla, which is then translated into English, back into English. And that gets pretty hilarious, especially when Sam starts swearing, and he swears a lot. Luckily, Angel, along with about 30 other languages, speaks gorilla, and she's sort of kind of in that Diana Rigg vein, and she does most of the heavy lifting in the detective work because Sam really is a comic book artist who sort of freelances as a detective and helps Angel out whenever she gets into trouble. He works on a strip called Shemaya, Queen of the Jungle, and he usually uses Angel as his model for Shania the Jungle Girl. And he sells these to something called Brain Picks Comics Inc., which is run by a complete psychopath and a thinly veiled poke in the eye at Stan Lee. It's run by a guy named Stan Bragg because, God bless Stan Lee. He deserves his place in comic history, but he always was a bit of a self-aggrandizing schmuck in my book. But, love the guy, don't get me wrong. Later, he would work for DZ Comics and a guy named Julius, who was another gorilla, but that happens later. These characters were the creations of Nelson Bridwell, Howie Post, and Bob Oxner. And Oxner did most of the heavy lifting as the series progressed. I think Sergio Aragones did a couple issues too and did some a filler page art and some more funny business stuff. It started out with Showcase Presents number 77 back in 68 and proved popular enough. It quickly kind of spun off into its own series, starting with Angel and the Ape number 1. In the case of the Missing Go-Go Girls, it's pretty funny. Of course, Angel goes undercover as a Go-Go Girl. And I think someone saw Dr. Goldfoot in the Bikini Machine because it kind of follows that same plot. In issue number 2, let's see, it's sort of run into a circus of crime and this crime family of the bikinis. It's kind of crazy. It's a monkey. He's going to punch that guy out. Okay, it's great. In issue number 3, let's see, this was kind of an old dark house mystery thing, and there was heirs kind of gathered waiting for the old patriarch to die off, only he won't go. And they all kind of wind up dying instead. And in issue number 4 is it's a Chinatown adventure, and it's kind of racist. We get to issue number 5, and don't let the cover fool you. I dig the Munsters, but the Munsters do not show up in the book at all. Instead, what do we got here? Oh, I lost my sheet. 2 seconds. Well, let's see. Oh, yeah, this is the one with the robot pigeons and missing persons and hippies and all kinds of weird stuff. And then once again, no monsters, but there is another robot that's trying to rob a bank for these gangsters, and they try to stop it. It was a thing. And then the last issue, sadly, of the original run is issue number 7, and it's only Meet Angel. I'm going to assume that's a printing error of some sort that left it off, but on the inside it was there were just solo adventures for each character, and it wasn't quite as good, and so maybe they were out of ideas, so maybe it's a good thing it ended when it did. But it wasn't gone for long. Okay, fine. Actually, they were gone for a while. Almost 20 years before Phil Foglio resurrected the duo back in 1991. I know Angel and the Ape showed up in a few other series. I know they even showed up in Crisis on Infinite Earths in a couple panels. But then no, it was pretty much hit and miss. I think there was a Swamp Thing annual too. I think, if I remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there were some major revelations in this new miniseries, starting with the reveal that Angel O'Day was actually half sisters with Athena Tremor, who you all may remember was Dumb Bunny in the Inferior Five, an equal fairly hysterical comic book from back in the late 60s, who also kind of disappeared off the face of the earth for a long time. Now, the Inferior Five show up in a good chunk of this new series, and the other major reveal, believe it or not, is Sam Simeon's grandfather is actually Gorilla Grodd. And apparently Angel's father, who was an explorer and found him in Africa, he escaped from Gorilla City because he hated his granddad. And Grodd needs Sam because only he can contact the little doohickey here or something. And so he can access time and turn everyone into a gorilla or something. I can't remember what happens exactly, except at the end, Dumb Bunny and Merryman finally declare their love for one another, so I guess it was sort of a happy ending. And that would be it again for Angel and the Ape for almost another 10 years, but they'd be back one more time. Okay then, Angel and the Ape's third revival was in 2001 as part of the Vertigo brand. Howard Chaykin and David Tishman did the writing on it. The interior art was by Phil Bond, and the covers were done by Art Adams, who is amazing at drawing monsters and monkeys. So, sad to say, the covers are kind of the best part of this series. The story itself, Chaykin, it's going to get a little weird and a little perverted. It was good. Sam, in the second series that Foglio did, Sam was speaking English. Yeah, I didn't care for that too much, and so Sam's back to his old normal thinking in English and not speaking English, which I think is actually adds to a lot of the humor. And the one thing that I really, really didn't like about this is they made it's issue number 3. They made the strategic mistake of turning Angel into sort of this Paris Hilton surrogate, and it's like, oh, no, 1,000 times no. But, and turns out that exactly wasn't the end of Angel and the Ape. I know there's a couple holiday specials that they showed up in. One from 1975 that I'd really like to get my hands on, because apparently that contains an original story from the first run that never saw print until then. And then there's another one in 2010 that I intend to track down. And then also, and this was news to me, they were also part of a brief mini-series called Joe Kubert Presents, which is kind of an anthology thing, and they were part of it. So I guess that's something else I got to track down. So, but anyway, that's it for Angel and the Ape. Like I said, they're goofy. The newer ones are dirt cheap. Like I said, it's a lot of fun and goofy, silly. You couldn't go wrong with tracking some of those down. And the original ones are just a scream. Those might cost you a little more because they're they're over 50 years old now. So, but yeah, anyway, I highly recommend those. I also want to give a thanks to the music you heard during the bumpers. That is the music of Catfight. And you can find that song, Go Go Gorilla, on the Stomp, Shout, and Scream soundtrack. Jay Edwards' leveling ode to old Gorilla Suit pictures, which is just great. I highly recommend that too. And so, that'll wrap up this episode, this very chaotic and not really good episode. And until next time, never, ever be ashamed of what you can afford comic book wise. And we'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.